Please tell us about yourself.
Okay, so my name is Erica Wildy, and I am a faculty member here at Cal State University East Bay, the Department of Biological Sciences. I'm at the level of professor. I am overall a faculty member in biology, but my specialty is more ecology and animal behavior.
Wow, that sounds interesting. Why did you want to become a professor?
That was definitely not the first place that I was going toward. I would say that I started out either wanting to be a teacher, and in my mind that was K through 12, or be a veterinarian. And so I kind of went down the veterinarian track for a while in undergrad, and then somewhere towards senior year, I decided that it wasn't for me. And at that point, with a major in biology, I remember distinctly my mother asking me if I was employable at that point. And I said, I had an O on my face. So I thought, well, maybe what I can do is go to grad school and give myself a chance to sort of reset. And so I ended up applying to graduate school, and I did that. And when you get to grad school, it's not uncommon for there to be an encouragement for a person to think about getting a PhD. I had gone in for a master's. And of course, a lot of times the PhD leads toward maybe a faculty position. Not all the time, but it was something that I could see in my advisor and in all the faculty around me. This was the position that they were inhabiting. And so I began to think about it more and started revisiting my interest in being a teacher. And it just so happens that I guess I was now going to be thinking about it at the level of the college. So, yeah.
That's amazing. Do you conduct any research on campus? And if so, do you have any undergraduate students in your research projects?
So I used to do more traditional research in the area of ecology, sort of the interaction with animals and their environment, and then also animal behavior. But I'm going to say about 13 to 15 years ago, I kind of switched gears a little bit. Unfortunately, at that time, the facilities that were needed for the animals I worked with, which were larval salamanders, and more specifically, or more broadly, I should say, they're vertebrates. And so there are special rules and policies that you need to follow when you're working with vertebrates. Unfortunately, unlike now, we didn't have facilities that were created and especially geared for vertebrate housing. And in addition to me working with these vertebrates, I was also working with aquatic vertebrates. So talking about a situation where we're having animals that needed water and the facilities that were important for that, as well as for housing vertebrates in alignment with the policies that were required. I got a little frustrated, admittedly, and so I decided to take a break and maybe refocus. I actually took a 2-year leave of absence. I went and I did a stint at the California Academy of Sciences, actually just so happens that's when they were transitioning back to Golden Gate Park after having been gone for a while. I guess they were rebuilding and expanding a little bit. And so when I got there, taking a leave of absence from here, it was 2008, and that was the same year that they were reopening in Golden Gate Park. So it was kind of nice to get there when things hadn't quite opened, and then all of a sudden be there. And there I served as a science educator. That was my title, and it ended up being a thing where, in addition to maybe doing some of the informative panels around the museum and aquarium and so on, I also worked with the docents, and I basically taught them, or they called it training. So I would give them workshops about the different organisms, around the aquarium and the museum. And I did that for 2 years. And in the end, they were still reorganizing a bit, and they decided that they couldn't guarantee me a position. I also kind of missed being here and teaching students and that kind of thing. So I decided to come back and refocus and actually focus on science education. So that's what I do now, is I do science education, but right now I don't have undergraduates working with me on that. What I did do, though, from say 2010 to maybe just about a half a year ago, I would take on students who were interested in doing ecology, working on ecology type projects or animal behavior type projects. But I was also on the side individually working on science education projects. So I did a lot of work with grad students, had some undergrads. And then the graduate students that I took, instead of it just being projects that were associated with a parent project that I had, like I'm working on, at the time I was working on cannibalism in larval salamanders when I first started. And instead of maybe my graduate students working on different sub-projects associated with that, they were working on a variety of things. So basically, if they wanted to work on some kind of vertebrate ecology or behavior project, I was open to it, but the stipulation was that I needed them to have a facility that they could work at so that it could accommodate that work with vertebrates, which again, we still didn't have by the time I returned back here. So that worked for a while, and I had students who have done projects at the Oakland Zoo, USGS, Golden Gate National Recreation Area in San Francisco, and so a variety of places like that. And we did little partnerships, so yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
So as you may know, Black History Month is coming to an end, and we would love to know, what are some of the challenges you have faced in general around being an African American Black woman?
Yeah. First of all, feeling alone. I actually went to graduate school in Oregon, and I'm originally from New Jersey, and it was definitely a culture shock. I went to Oregon State University, so the town that the school is in is Corvallis, Oregon. Very not diverse in terms of, especially if you compare it to some place like here or where I was from. So that was difficult, just being there and being one of the only. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm not 100% sure, but I might have been the first African American or Black person in general as a graduate student in the Department of Zoology when I went. I'm not 100% sure. I definitely know that the 6 years that I was there was nobody else that was Black. And so that was a little bit difficult, just sort of living in that environment. People were generally nice, but I always felt out, like I felt different. Like I felt self-conscious when I would do my field work 2.5 hours away, so away from a college town, which tends to be more liberal, and I would go into the field and go to ponds in the Cascade Mountains where people hunted, had guns. I was nervous. I mean, I would go to make sure when I went to the bathroom, I would go to a public park where I felt like in case there was an issue, I was out in the open where people could see me. When I would go into the field in sort of the back areas, when I would see somebody pass by, I would actually kind of move out of sight because I was just, I don't know what people's thoughts are about someone like me out there by myself. And so I didn't want to find out the hard way. And then as we, progress forward, I feel now that there are definitely times when, for a variety of reasons, it could be the intersection, it could be any of the things that I represent. So I'm a Black individual, I'm African American, but I'm also a woman. I'm also a heavier woman. And so there could be a variety or combination of these things that could present itself as an issue. But first off, even though I don't feel as alone in terms of diversity present here, in the College of Science, we've had no more than, I would say, 5 Black individuals in the college the entire time that I've been here since 2000, and it's now 2024. I would say in terms of women, maybe 3 Black women since I've been here at any one time. That's the most. Right now, I believe we have maybe 4 or 5 Black individuals, and maybe 2 of us are women. I think I am the only full professor, and so the levels are assistant professor and then associate and then full. So I believe I'm the only full professor, which is unfortunate, So there's that. I noticed a pattern of, and this might be a woman thing, I'm called Erica all the time. Whether or not I sign my name Dr. Wildy, and I did that a lot in the beginning because I was really young when I first came here, and we're older than average here. So I was about 27 and 28, and I wanted to distinguish myself. I tend to be open and accommodating. So I knew I needed to have something there that distinguished myself from the students, so that I could have some level of authority. And so I'm always called Erica, no matter what, by a lot of undergraduate students, which in general isn't an issue. But then I noticed that male counterparts are not. and it's doctor this, doctor that, and they could be the same age, they could be younger than me, and I'm Erica, and that bothers me. Why is there a difference? And then in terms of just talking with colleagues about different things, I do notice, I've been in denial about it, but I have noticed that sometimes when I bring up an idea, it's not really listened to, it's dismissed. When I'm shown to be correct down the road, I'm not given that credit. And people forget that I was the one who brought up that, that point in the first place, and they just take credit for it when they finally figure it out. So that's been a little frustrating too. And then there's just, it's unfortunate there's not as many Black individuals, Black students, in terms of graduate students, undergraduate students in the sciences. So it's unfortunate. I want to see more of that. And, that's just something that I guess will take a little bit more time.
Thank you for sharing that. Last question.
Yeah.
Why is it important for the university to commemorate Black History Month?
Yeah, I think in general, we need to make sure that we're not forgetting, dismissing the contributions of Black individuals. And so we know about this at a national level. We know that we need to do this at a national level. It's not been there, done that. It still needs to be something that we're celebrating. And even though we're one of the most, if not the most diverse campus in terms of let's say at least the contiguous 48 states, so the lower 48, it doesn't mean that the contributions of Black individuals is still recognized. We need to celebrate what we have contributed to this nation, what we are contributing to our disciplines. And we need to encourage more Blacks to come into, at least in my opinion, being a STEM individual, STEM faculty person, to bring more Blacks into the STEM disciplines and to do a little bit more diversification when it comes to that. So it's important that we have a point at which we kind of celebrate and make folks that are Black feel comfortable in their skin, knowing that they are seen, and hopefully not the only time that they're seen is during Black History Month, but we take a special period to kind of say, we appreciate you, we see you. And then from there, encourage our brothers and sisters to continue on the path that they're going on, and hopefully I can siphon some off into the sciences if possible.
So just thank you so much again for talking to us and for sharing your story, and we really appreciate it.
Of course, absolutely.